And Brandon, let's move on. Next team we are looking at is the Oregon Ducks. Quack, quack, quack. And Brandon, I have to ask you the most important question. If we're going to talk about Oregon football, is that, have you filled the sleeves today? Did you fill the sleeves today? Because if not, Oregon football strength and conditioning coach, it's going to get mad at you if you didn't fill those sleeves today, Brandon. You got to put in the work, got to do those curls, got to fill the sleeves. I hope you did that today.
So here's the funny thing. I actually have been to the gym today. Where have you been?
I went to the gym in my head.
Did you?
Curls in my head.
Did you?
Yeah.
Don't lie. I don't even think you did curls in your head.
In my head. Burger here, burger there, burger here. It's just a different kind of curl, man. The more meat you put on it. The
curly fry.
Yeah, well, the more meat you put on it, the heavier it is. So you're working the biceps, the triceps, so you're getting a little food at the same time, right? Right? We all win. But no, we're talking about the Oregon Ducks. And the first thing I want to ask you heading into this one is a guy that Mark and I talked about last week on the onside kick because he was in Mark's top 10, early preseason top 10 for the mock draft. He's probably going to be in one of our top 10s for a big board next week, and that's the Eugene native Justin Herbert. He's a guy that's been with the Ducks now. This will be his third season. Last year he was a starter, threw for just under 2,000 yards, 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. In his third year with the Ducks, what do you expect from Justin Herbert with now yet again he had one head coach in 2016, a new head coach in 2017, another new head coach this year. What should we expect from Herbert at the QB spot?
Well, last year he played in 8 games. And when he played, they went 6-1, 52.1 points scored on average. In the 5 games that he missed, they went 1-4, averaged 15 points. This kid is outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. He had almost 2,000 yards, 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions in just those games. If he plays a full season, Oregon can compete right at the top with the rest of them, with the Washingtons, with the Stanfords. They definitely can. This guy should be an early season Heisman Trophy favorite. He really is good. I mean, he is someone that every single person would want on their team.
As their quarterback.
He has been outstanding. I mean, even look what he did in his freshman season. 19 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Again, a little shy of 2,000 yards. This kid puts in a full season. Watch out.
Well, and the thing that I find most important for Oregon this year has really nothing to do, for me, with what the team has offensive and defensively. For me, I look at the coaching, because for me, ever since I got into college football as a young lad, the thing that you got to understand about the Ducks, reigning back from, yet again, I got into college football as like a young, right before my teen years, so like early 2000s. And that was before the Chip Kelly days, where you get the Chip Kelly in 2009. Chip Kelly was an offensive coordinator for the Ducks, gets hired up into the head coaching spot. When Kelly leaves, Mark Helfrich, who was the OC, gets promoted to the head coaching spot. The Willie Taggart year was an asterisk to me because it did not go with the mold of Oregon football. It did not go with the, hey, we are going to promote the offensive coordinator to come up. Maybe because they were looking at the Helfrich era in those last 2 years going, hey, we aren't finishing number 1 in the North anymore. What's wrong? Maybe we got to change the system. Well, 7-5 in Taggart's only year with the Ducks, 4-5 in the conference. I know that, yet again, you said 1-4 when Herbert was injured. That could have changed, could have swung things the other way, and they wouldn't have finished 5 losses in the conference and 5 losses overall. But the thing I like most is bringing in Mario Cristobal, and I shouldn't even say bringing in. just promoting up. He was a co-offensive coordinator last year for this team. That is the most important part for me, is they are going back. I'm going to say going back to their roots of like, hey, you know what? We hired Willie Taggart from a different school. It didn't work. Like, it didn't change anything. It didn't magically make us better to where we are. Let's go back to what we are good at. When we make the change, we hire from within, and that's what they're doing here. And the thing I like it is you had Cristobal and Herbert, co-offensive coordinator, working with the quarterback. Now with him leading this team, this offense, in my mind, is not going to skip a beat between Cristobal running the team, running the offense, and Justin Herbert as your junior quarterback this year.
No, I don't think that it should.
I mean, unless he gets injured, but I know we're not hoping for that.
Here's the thing, though. I actually want to I want to point out something there.
Mm-hmm.
If he gets injured, the behind him it's thin.
Mm-hmm.
It is really thin. You do not have a solid guy behind him that you can say, okay, he's going to come in and he's going to lead us to victory. Not that you will be wanting to hope that, but behind him, there's not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot, and there's again, I'm only saying this because he got injured last season. That's obviously not something that you want to see again, but if it did happen, they are not deep. They are not deep behind him.
Well, I mean, they've got 4 names behind them, but it's like
in terms of talent.
Yeah,
in terms of talent.
Exactly. They've got guys like Burmeister, who is a sophomore, and then the rest are, well, Burmeister and Irwin, sophomore redshirt freshmen, have been there the same amount of years. The other 2 are freshmen, and Tyler Sott and Bradley Yeff. They're the only ones, like, they're freshmen. So it's basically, if Herbert goes down, yeah, you have 2 guys. It's probably either going to be Burmeister or a guy like Irvin that wins the job. It'll probably be the backup. But it's like, that is a huge talent gap between Herbert, who could be a top 10 draft pick this year if he plays well, and then Broxton Burmeister, who is a sophomore from La Jolla, California.
La Jolla. So wide receiver on this team. They've got one guy, Jacob Breland, not the wide receiver, but the tight end, obviously, as the favorite target of their quarterback. And
Herbert.
Yeah, whose name escaped me quickly. They don't have a whole lot of guys outside of that are star power, that's a guy that you look at as, whoa, he's got the breakaway speed, he's the big play threat, that's all right now. That's Breland, because that's Herbert's favorite target. What do you foresee this season with the wide receiving core, especially with a really good running back rotation?
I expect I look at the running backs to carry this team, because the way I look at, like, maybe this is just me looking at the Ducks overall. To me, when I look at when I think of like wide receivers that have played for Oregon, it's never been like, man, that guy is like it's not like a Justin Blackman, I know I'm dating myself there, type of receiver for the Ducks. It's like I think DeAnthony Thomas, where it's like, he's a receiver technically, but he's more of an offensive weapon, and especially used that title when he went to the NFL, where it's like, yeah, they're technically receivers, but they're more offensive weapons on this team, whereas the running backs have been the ones that have garnered that big name, LeGarrette Blount, LaMichael James, Royce Freeman last year, and I expect that to be the same. The running backs will be the names we know. The wide receivers will be good, but we'll be looking at them like, man, look at all these offensive weapons that they have, and not necessarily target out one wide receiver to be like, damn, that is a phenomenal number 1 wide receiver they have.
So we look at this Oregon offense as being an offense that's just going to break out. That's just going to break out this season. If everyone's healthy, boom, they're going to be solid. Defensively, Do you think that there is any cause for concern here with Oregon? Or do you believe that this defense will be able to keep up with the level of play that this offense is going to have this season?
Yes, and the main one I look at is Troy Dye, who was their defensive MVP. He's now entering his second year with DC Jim Leavitt. And I mean, he's even been on record saying when it comes to like Leavitt and the coaching staff, it's pretty cool to be out there and know what I'm doing. And then they also have guys who you got edge rushers where it's at either at the linebacker position of Justin Hollins or Lamar Winston, or even on the defensive end front of Jalen Jux. I think I said that right. Jux. It's Jelke or KS. Let me know if I screwed that up. I probably did. Those guys flirted with the NFL draft. They're going to be back. So, like, for me, when it comes to Oregon, offensively, defensively, just as an entire team, they have been the team that I've been looking at in the Pac-12 to be like, they're my dark horse this year. They are the dark horse team where it's like, most people aren't going to be looking at them. The spotlight's going to be on USC. The spotlight is going to be on Chip Kelly and UCLA in the North. People are going to look at Stanford with Bryce Love. They're going to look at Washington with Brownie and Eason and names like that out there, although Browning will be the guy for the Huskies. That I feel like this year Oregon is, except for maybe Herbert, because he's already on a national level, we'll have some Heisman buzz this year. We'll definitely have some draft buzz. They could be a team that kind of floats under the radar to where right now we're looking at them as, the 24th team in the nation. Like I said in the last segment that was kind of being like a little iffy on Oregon was, they could be one of the only teams to fall out of the top 25 from Cal's schedule. But let's be on the flip side. They could be a team that stays in the top 25, if not grows into the top 25. And I wouldn't be surprised if this year everything clicks for them and they do challenge a Washington, they do challenge a Stanford for the top of the North. Am I going to put my money on that? No, but that's what a dark horse is. A dark horse is a team that could do that, but most likely will not. And they might be a little bit better, but not challenge for the North crown.
So I've gone through this schedule. I've looked at them, and I feel like I could see 9 wins
overall
for Oregon, and that's not counting the Stanford game, the Washington game, and Utah. And 9 wins I could see out of that. I think that they win their first 3 games. They start the season off 3-0. I'd say they beat Cal, most likely. But again, it's an improved Cal team, and it's going to be at Cal. I think that you beat Washington State, even with Washington State as good as they were last season at 9-4. I think that you can beat Arizona on the road, win at home against UCLA, beat Arizona State, and then on the road at Oregon State. I don't think that you have any problem there. And I know that there's no analysis on those, but that would take much longer. But I think you look at those games, the games that are going to be the big ones are Stanford, Washington, for sure. And I feel Utah. I don't know why I feel Utah. I just feel like it's on the road at Utah. Utah's should be an improved team this year. It would make sense. 9 games I have them pegged for at least.
That's exactly why you feel that way, because you said it. On the road. That's it. Last year, looking at this team, out of their losses, Arizona State, Washington State, Stanford, UCLA, Washington, and Boise State technically, every single one of those games, except for the Washington State game, happened outside of Eugene. Happened away from the Ducks' home field advantage. Happened away from the main place where the Ducks does the push-ups after every single Oregon touchdown. And that's the thing looking at the schedule that's interesting. I don't think you win, but it's good that you have the Cardinal and the Huskies coming into your place rather than having to go to Stanford and Washington like you did last year. But then I look at the road games, and it's like Utah, like you said, for some reason, I just feel like Utah could win. The reason why you're saying that is because it's in Utah, it's on the road, and last year the Ducks didn't play well on the road. It's like that Arizona game I'm also circling because we talked Kevin Sumlin coming in, and he is a coach that is no slouch. I know we make fun of him for, what's Kevin Sumlin going to do this year? 8 wins. Goodbye, everybody. That's your analysis. But I mean, he's a guy that has a Heisman quarterback, like a Heisman candidate caliber quarterback as well in Khalil Tate. So I look at that game. I circle that Halloween weekend. That should be a good game, mainly because it's on the road, and last year Oregon didn't play well on the road. Washington State's going to be interesting. We're going to talk about them next, to where their biggest loss is, like, my biggest thing with them, kind of as a little preview into them, is Luke Falk. What are they going to be like post Luke Falk in Washington State? I really liked him. I thought he did a lot of great things for that offense. Yet again, you lost to them at Eugene. How do you play against them on the road? And then Cal could be a better team, and you play them on the road. So it's like some of these road games could be a little sneaky because this team, and I'm going off of last year, if you're going to show me last year you didn't play well on the road, you got to show me that you can play well on the road. And maybe we look at it at the end of this year like, man, they were better all around. Okay, it was Willie Taggart's fault. Like, maybe we're looking at that. We're looking at this year going, man, the tag man was the reason why they only won 7 games last year. I know that Herbert getting injured played into that. They only went 1-4 when he wasn't out there on the field in the last 5. But that, to me, is something that I look at. That, yes, you get these road games that could be tough, but how do you do against Stanford and Washington in Eugene rather than on the road at Stanford or at Washington?
I think the biggest thing is that you look how the season ended for Oregon last year, but you do have to take into account that Justin Herbert was not your quarterback. During the 1-4 stretch, when you had 15 points per game, when you were putting up 15 points per game, you did not have Justin Herbert as the quarterback. You were not able to open up the offense as much as you would have liked to.
You had Burmeister, who I talked about earlier.
Exactly. That is why you do not want him. You do not want the backups for Oregon to be playing in these games because they are nowhere near the level of what Justin Herbert is in terms of anything, in terms of any talents and skills that he's able to bring to the table. That's not a knock against them. It's just Justin Herbert is he is so far and above anything that they're able to bring to the table. He's in a category of his own in terms of the quarterbacks at Oregon, and you can do more. Defenses have to account for more. They have to be on their toes at every second with him. It's not going to just be run. It's not going to just be pass. There's a lot of different things that Herbert's able to do and a lot of things that the offense can do with him in there and under center. So that is why it's so important that, 1, he stays healthy, and 2, that this team is able to do the things that they should be able to do. That's why it's so important for these wide receivers to step up and for someone other than the tight end to come out and be a true number 1 receiver, be that guy that he can go to. That's going to be so important because if they can, that Stanford game, that Washington game, be much closer.
I got one final question for you, but it's got an A, a B, and a C part to it. It's a 3-part question. First, the A part is what's your percentage, and I'll let you answer them in between. I won't throw them all at you at once. Number 1, what's the percentage in your mind that Oregon wins the North, the Pac-12 North?
60.
Percentage that they win the Pac-12 overall. So they win the North, go on to the title game, beat the champion from the South.
30.
What's their chance they make the college football playoff?
0.
Okay. For me, I'm going to go 50 to win the division, about 35 to win the Pac-12 title, 0.1 to make the college football playoff.
How about this? How about this more realistically, though?
100%
to be in a bowl game. 100% that Oregon is in a bowl game.
Yes, because they were. I'm only going to say yes.
I don't think they've been in a bowl game since 2014.
No, they haven't won a bowl game since 2014. They were in a bowl game last year.
Oh gosh, I don't even remember that.
They played Boise State last year in their bowl game.
Haven't won.
The thing that you're thinking about is they have not won since the 2014 college football semifinal game where Marcus Mariota beat Jameis Winston.
They haven't won a relevant bowl game. Because you can get in a bowl game and they're not, none of them, unless they're a playoff game, are relevant.
So they won that Florida State game 59-20. Then the next game, the national championship, which is technically a bowl game, they lost to Ohio State. So you had 2 that year. You lost. 2015, they played TCU in the Alamo Bowl, lost to them in triple overtime, 47-41. That was a Mark Helfrich year for the Ducks. In Mark Helfrich's last year, they did not make a bowl game. And then in 2017, the only year with Willie Taggart, they made the Las Vegas Bowl where they played Boise State and they lost 38-28. So they have not won a bowl game since 2014. I'll revise it then and ask you, not make a bowl game, what's the percentage they win a bowl game this year? Like, get to 7 wins and win their bowl game.
They got their quarterback, Justin Herbert, 70% chance that they'd win the bowl game.
I'd say it depends on what bowl game they're in. Like, if they're in a big bowl game with a D1 team, I'll sit 70-75. But I'll be honest, this team to me will probably get a bowl game where it's like they'll go up against like a non-Power 5 team that had a really good year. I'll say 85% they win a bowl game this year and snap that streak. But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below in that comment section. You excited about the Ducks? You're not excited about the Ducks? What do you think about the offense, the defense, the schedule? Cristobal in his first year as the head coach. I know he was there last year as the OC, but what do you think about him as the head coach this year? Let us know what you think about everything down below in that comment section.